Today is the weekend. I will visit my grandmother who lives in an old residential area on Shanghai Street. I will take the bus and then take the subway back. Let's compare the riding environment, price, speed, and whether there is a big difference compared to your country. The bus takes a long time to ride, but you can enjoy the scenery on the road. The subway is fast, but it seems boring without looking at your phone. Which one do you like? Not all bus stops have timers, and we can use our mobile phones to check in real time how many more stops the bus will arrive at. I feel that the accuracy can reach 200 meters or 1 minute. Today's journey to Grandma's house is about 8 kilometers, 2 yuan, and we usually use electronic payment. Haha, I rarely take public transportation and am not very proficient. The buses in summer have air conditioning, and there are fewer people on weekends. Now I can take a break. The bus will take about 40 minutes to reach my grandmother's house, and then I will walk for about 15 minutes to her house. This bus runs from the university town to the scenic spot Shanghai Street in Suzhou City. As it is summer vacation and weekends, there are really few people, and now there are only 2 passengers. Many cities in China have bus lanes for public transportation, which makes it more efficient. Later, we will also see dedicated traffic lights for buses. Taking the bus on weekends feels like the pace of life has slowed down, and passengers feel very relaxed. You probably don't know that Suzhou is a city with a population of 13 million. But it ranks 12 in China's urban population. Everyone's safety awareness is gradually increasing, and helmets for riding electric scooters are also being worn. We have arrived at the busiest commercial district in Suzhou City, and the number of pedestrians has started to increase. I have found that bus drivers nowadays are much more standardized than before. They will wait for the elderly to sit down before starting to drive, which is much better than a decade ago. We can take a look at the last 2 elderly people who came in, and the driver only started the formalities after they sat down. Okay, I've arrived at the stop. Soon I'll walk through the Shanghai tourist area, head to a century-old restaurant for my favorite wontons, and then make my way to Grandma's house in an old residential neighborhood. Across the street is the main scenic area of Shanghai Street. When I come back later, I will show you around. I will go to the residential area for dinner first. Ten years ago, when Suzhou or Shanghai Street was not yet the most famous in China, this section of the road was purely residential, and fresh vegetables and fruits could be bought on both sides of the road. Now it has become a typical Chinese tourist snack and souvenir street. Do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing? 10 wontons cost 10 yuan with 800 calories. I'm absolutely crazy about meat wontons. I made almost 10 videos, and most of them feature me eating wontons. Actually, Suzhou is most famous for Su-style noodles. Have you ever tried them? This is Su-style braised pork noodle and spare rib noodle. Since the wontons are solid filled, they take quite a long time to cook. My favorite has arrived. This century-old shop is packed. Every table in the back is full, so the owner asked me to sit at their serving counter. It's actually a pretty nice viewpoint. Suzhou-style wontons are representative Jiangnan snacks. Thin wrappers hold seasoned pork filling, boiled and served with shrimp scallion broth, a beloved local street food. Due to the chaos and wars in the early 1900s, there are barely over 100 century-old dining establishments in China. Wang Foxing is one of them. Founded in 1866, it's most famous for these deep-fried glutinous rice dumplings. But it's a classic sugar oil bomb, super high calorie. I've already had wontons today, so I'll save this for another time. About 50 meters ahead is Xinqiu Bridge. It dates back to the Song Dynasty, over 1,000 years ago. When I was little, I would cross this bridge over and over while going grocery shopping with my grandma. Standing on Xinqiu Bridge, I believe this shows Shangcheng Street at its most genuine. Walk across the bridge, and you'll enter a centuries-old residential quarter. Its crisscrossing alleyways felt like a maze to me when I was a kid. Suzhou is well known across China as a land of fish and rice. All kinds of freshwater fish and hairy crabs are sold here. There are countless stories hidden in these narrow lanes. Weathered old walls hold the daily lives of generations. Stone pavements bear marks of time. Every deep alley preserves the old memories of ordinary Suzhou locals. We're almost at Grandma's place. 30 years ago, Grandma and Grandpa were relocated to Suzhou New District due to urban demolition. Back then, the new district was pretty remote, so they moved to this down-to-earth old residential compound instead. My grandma is 83 years old. She's having her kitchen renovated recently. She used to be a cook at a kindergarten. She spent her whole life making delicious food and still wants to keep cooking. I've come to help her check what renovation supplies she still needs to buy. It's also really rewarding to sit and listen to her chat about family stories and little everyday happenings. We're speaking the Suzhou Wu dialect. Even if you can understand or speak Mandarin, sorry you still won't understand a word of Wu. China is truly fascinating. We're all Chinese, or Han Chinese, but the dialects vary wildly from north to south and east to west. Even villages between cities may not understand each other. China has 56 ethnic groups, and many minority groups have their own languages too. That's why the spread of Mandarin across China has been so useful for communication and sharing information. Let me play a short conversation so you can hear the Wu dialect for yourself.
举报你个人没少数。
一年前，
三两万以上来了。3两万以上来了。
3两后，
如果你是一个3+1、2+2，对，打完。
容易分，公司的里头。
那个明白。
Haha, we're talking about the flooding from the typhoon a few days ago. The small river at Shangcheng Street rose a little, and the area near my company also had some rising water. Luckily, near my home it was fine. Can you understand any of it?
上次唱牛滚雷呀。
我从半壁凤凰下来，下风下来。
人家讲的就是来，第一个呢，我得叫我就是，那么海这个书记，
My grandma is talking about how a full week of heavy rain caused water to seep through the walls. She went to the neighborhood committee to get the upstairs neighbor to fix it, and after going back and forth several times, it was finally repaired. The upstairs neighbor also gave a little compensation. It was great to see my grandma in such good spirits, speaking with so much energy. After chatting with her for a while, I said my goodbyes and headed out. This is a small fire truck the fire department placed in the narrow residential streets. It's tailored to the local conditions, pretty smart idea. This residential community was probably built back in the 1970s. Because it's so old, the government recently renovated the exterior walls and roofs. As you can see in the footage, some parts still look like they haven't been finished yet. Even though the typhoon just passed, the weather is still scorching hot. My grandma didn't have any chilled sugar-free soda at home, so as soon as I left, I grabbed a bottle to cool down. The shop knows there's a special demand for sugar-free soda, so it costs a bit more than regular soda. This bottle was 3.5 yuan, about $0.5 US. This kind of old-fashioned corner shop was my favorite place to go as a kid. It had all kinds of snacks, little toys, and stationery. It may be tiny, but it has everything you need. The old residential area may have aging buildings, but it's kept quite clean. We're now walking along the Shangtang River. Earlier I was worried the water would rise too high and flood the area near my grandma's place. But luckily everyone was prepared this time. The ancient city's water gates also released water in advance. It's really difficult for the police to coordinate things when calling out on narrow streets. This looks like a centralized waste management point. The river cleaning station and the garbage station behind it are both clustered here in this location. Hanfu has been gaining popularity in China over the past 5 years. It's just that right now is the hottest time of the year in Suzhou, so fewer people are wearing it. A lot of people online see many uniformed people in China, but actually many of them are just security guards or crowd control staff. Real police officers have a badge number, plus the Chinese word for police and the English word police on their uniforms. Like the 2 officers in front of me, they're actual police on duty. As I was leaving Xinqiu Bridge, I met the owner of Wang Foxy again, the old shop from earlier. He was very nice. Maybe one day, when I have more followers, I can be a food vlogger and introduce this great shop properly. Walking out of those quiet, weathered old residential lanes and stepping back into the bustling, crowded tourist area felt almost surreal. One moment you're surrounded by peeling walls and the slow rhythm of local life, and the next you're hit by a wave of chatter, camera clicks, and busy street vendors. It's like traveling through time within a single street. Walk through the passage under the bridge ahead and you'll reach the classic Shangtang street viewpoint. If you like it, I can come back here to film the scenery. Both sides of the bridge arch are carved with the bustling street scenes of ancient Suzhou. Let's take a look at the classic summer view of Shanghai Street. This spot is incredibly photogenic in all 4 seasons, each with its own distinct style, a truly typical scene of a Jiangnan water town in China. If you like it, leave a comment below. Next time I'll come back here specifically to film a video. For now, I'm heading back by subway. Suzhou's subway started operating 15 years ago, and now it has 9 lines. This is the logo of Suzhou's subway station. Similarly, we usually use a mobile app to ride the subway. Can you guess how much it costs to take the subway back to where I started by bus? I will show you when I check out at the exit. The subway is about to arrive at the station. Subway trains usually come every 5 minutes, and during morning and evening rush hours the intervals get shorter. This line connects the Shanghai Scenic Area, Suzhou Commercial District, and the train station, so it's still quite crowded on a weekend afternoon like this. Riding the subway can be pretty boring if you don't look at your phone, unlike on a bus, where you can enjoy the scenery, and the seats aren't as comfortable either. But it only takes about 20 minutes to get there, and it's not affected by traffic jams. So each has its pros and cons. What do you think? If you come to Suzhou and take public transportation, would you choose the subway or the bus? Almost at the station. This video is my first attempt at using AI voiceover, which was also suggested in the comments of my videos. My previous videos got very low views, and I really don't know why. For almost the same 8-kilometer distance, the subway costs 2.5 yuan and the bus costs 2 yuan. What do you think of these prices? I've changed the way I film my China life vlogs, and I might use this approach in future China travel videos too. Feel free to leave suggestions anytime, or if you have any questions about China life, culture, travel, or anything related, drop them in the comments. I'll answer them one by one. Thank you, and lastly, remember to subscribe to my channel. See you next time.